EA Sports forgot to put some stuff in the game. Like, I don't know, Vinnie Anthony speed? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I am your host, Ryan Herrings. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being an everydayer, tuning in and helping us build this amazing community. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Today's episode, let's talk EA Sports Wisconsin Badgers rankings. The game is out 2026, and a couple reasons I like doing this. The first is I know there's going to be a lot of people that say, who cares? It's a video game. Sure, I get that. It's also another data point, though. I'm telling you right now, EA Sports they have connections into places that know these players. And there's some subtleties when you look in the rankings. You can see, like, for example, Nicholas Clayton has the second highest finesse pass rush ranking on this team. Like, they understand some of the nuances of these players and these rosters. So it's interesting just to look at it, to get a feel, right? To see kind of another data point to gauge this team by. Because that's all it is. It's just another opinion. It's somebody trying to numerically grade this roster and these players in a variety of categories and subcategories. They're like little mini scouting reports. Now, don't get me wrong, like, don't take too much from it, but it is interesting to kind of have your bias of what you think these players are and then go look at it and see what someone else has these players at. So we're going to just talk about the rankings, where I think they missed, where I think they nailed it. Some of the just oddball things that I think they sneaky did a good job of nailing. So we're going to talk about all that today. Plus, if you guys have any comments, thoughts, throw it in there. Appreciate you. It is a late. It is 12:38 in the morning Central Time. So we are going late tonight, but I just didn't get this one up in time. Let's start here. I thought it was interesting. Let's just talk about their top three players on offense and defense. And in typical Badger tradition, the top three ranked defensive players for the Badgers are all defensive backs. So Ricardo Holman is a 90, Preston Zachman's an 88, and Nazir Forkreen is an 87. On offense, it's three linemen: Riley Mahlman an 89, Jake Renfro an 85, Joe Brunner an 84. I think they kind of nailed the secondary on this team. I've talked about it a bunch. I think the secondary is assuming Forkreen gets back. And by the way, Nazir Forkreen posted kind of a cryptic message on Twitter alluding to the fact that good news was coming. The fact that he's in this game, I think, is probably another little good acorn on the trail to hopefully a happy ending for Nazir Forkreen. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But assuming he's back, I think the secondary is the strength of the team on defense. I think Rogue says Late Night Warriors. What's up, Rogue? This secondary is deep at the top. They're experienced. The safeties are veterans. Ricardo Holman and Nazir, that's as good of a cornerback veteran combo as Wisconsin's had in a while. You can definitely win with that combo. I think Preston Zachman is rock solid. Austin Brown is ready to take a step up. They have a couple of veterans behind them. I like the young cornerbacks they got. Losing Lucas hurts, but I think they kind of nailed the defensive back ratings in this. Let's talk about some of the new guys as well. Wanted to hit that because it's always fun to look at the freshmen, the rookies on the team. Carter Smith is in this game. He's a 74 overall. Of note, speed at 85, acceleration at 90. I think that's pretty accurate. The fastest, most athletic ranked quarterback in this room. Eugene Hilton Jr., another one of those young guys we're excited to see. He's a 72 overall. I feel like that's a tick low. A 72 overall for Eugene Hilton Jr. They got him at a 90 speed. I think the 75 catch is a little low. Another young guy we're excited for, Nicholas Clayton. They got him at with an 84 speed and an 87 agility with a 92 acceleration. Again, these are the little things when you dive into like the rankings behind the rankings. You understand that they have some tie-ins to the program. They have some connections that they're able to talk to get an idea of who these players are. Because Nicholas Clayton is a 92 acceleration in this game. It's kind of who he is. Family Man Ties in the chat. What's up, man? Just got off a 6-hour flight from San Diego to Dallas, filled with storm delays. I need this show right now. Thanks, Ryan. Man, my guy. Dude, I'm glad that you arrived to where you had to get to. I think one of the biggest things I looked at when I'm like, man, what did this team miss on? And I'm going to get into some players I think they're too low on. And again, to me, that's not an EA Sports thing. That's who is, I think, the nation low on right now for the Badgers. Who are they underestimating? Because this is kind of a microcosm, these rankings of what I think the national expectation is for the Badgers, where I think nationally the Badgers are. You look at the national discourse right now from the Locked On Network, who had us at kind of in the bottom of the Big Ten, to Phil Steele, to Big Ten, all Big Ten teams, to other Big Ten shows, to places that are wondering, will Luke Fickell survive the year? Are the Badgers ever going to recover from kind of this downturn? I think nationally the perception is this team is in a really bad spot, and I don't think they're as bad as people think. And these rankings kind of kind of show that. So one of the biggest areas that I think they missed on is receiver speed. And I don't know if that's just like a Wisconsin thing. I don't know. I think this was easily one of their biggest misses. And I think they nailed some stuff too, which I'm going to get into. But they have Deco Crowdis at a 93. All Deco Crowdis did, and Dominic has a good point here. How did Yak run a 4.4 but get 86 in speed? I think as a whole, they underestimated the speed on this defense and this team on this team in general. Because you look at a Deco Crowdis, they have Deco Crowdis at a 93 speed. That is a crazy, crazy fast kid who averaged a ridiculous amount of yards per catch for Hawaii last year. He's probably a 4.3 guy, 4.4 guy. They have Ballard at a 92 for speed. I think there's a lot of Ballard rankings that you could have pretty low because he hasn't proven much, but the dude's a burner. Like the dude's a 4.4 guy. He runs 20 plus miles an hour. That's a ranking they're going to look back on and say that's odd. And then Vinnie has a 90. Listen, that's inexcusable. That's lazy. Whoever did the speed ranking on Vinnie Anthony needs to go back and watch some Vinnie Anthony film, because you're talking about a guy that averaged 17 yards per. Somebody in the chat might know 17 yards per catch last year. I'm forgetting because it's almost midnight. It's past midnight here, but yeah, that's crazy. Vinnie Anthony's like a 94, 95 speed. Ballard's like a 94, 95. And honestly, Deco, I would have Deckel's probably route running low, maybe he's catching, but Deckel's probably like a 96, 97 speed guy. They just are. And it's weird how low those numbers are from a speed perspective. A couple other comments in here. Rog says, assuming Nazir is back top 5 secondary in the Big Ten, I don't think we're getting enough credit from the national media. Yeah, I think the national media has turned on the Badgers really quickly. And I'm fine with it. Right? Like, do the work in silence and surprise people. The Badgers have traditionally been pretty good when they've been a bit of an underdog, but we missed one. I say we, but Wisconsin, I always say that. You guys let me know if that bothers you. I'm just going to say we. Some people say, Ryan, it's not we, you're not on the team. And I'm like, I've been invested in this program for a lot longer than these players on the team have been. That doesn't mean I do more. Anyway, I think they've turned on the Badgers pretty quickly, the national media, considering we've had one missed bowl game in 20 years. So yeah, I do agree with you. I don't think they're getting some of the, but you got to earn that credit too. It's fine. Will Hanna says, good friend of the show as always, 8-4, 9-3 team with a 6-6 schedule. That's a great way to put that. This is an 8-4, 9-3 team with a 6-6 schedule. Yeah, I've never heard it put quite that way. And listen, conversely, the Badgers have had several years where they've probably been a 7-5 or 6-6 team with a 8-4, 9-3 schedule. That's a really good way to put it. And I think there's probably a lot of reality there. Now, I think they could play spoiler, do some teams this year. I think they could knock off a team, maybe keep them out of the playoffs or maybe keep them out of the Big Ten title game because they trip somebody up. I think this is a dangerous Badgers team that's getting overlooked. I'm just going to say it. Call me an optimist, call me whatever. I like what they've done in the offseason. I really like the addition of Billy Edwards. I think their speed at receiver, they got bigger on the defensive line. It's not a perfect team at all. There's many depth questions I have on the offense line at cornerback, but I think they're better. And I don't think people are looking deep enough. I don't think they're looking close enough. All right, we're going to take a quick second here, come back. I'm going to tell you 8 players EA Sports is too low on, including, as it is very well pointed out here by Nathan, Christian Allegro. They completely missed the boat on our guy CA. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show. quick second to say thank you for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. Today's episode brought to you by our great friends over at FanDuel. Listen, summer is upon us, and hallelujah for that. It is incredible. And all the summer sports, you got baseball, soccer, you have all these amazing opportunities to spice up your weekend with FanDuel. I love baseball. I like betting on baseball. It's one of my favorite sports to bet on because it changes so much day to day, and there's a ton of action every single week. FanDuel is incredible for all your sports betting needs. An easy to use interface. The payouts are fast. They're efficient. They're quick. They're simple. I think my buddy CJ still owes me money from like 20 years ago. We don't talk much anymore. We had a falling out over Monopoly, actually, now that I think about it. So I'm probably never getting that money back. But FanDuel will pay you out when you win. No questions asked. It's fast, it's easy, it's simple. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. All right, let's jump back into this. Some players, and if you guys are up with me, I know it's late and I apologize for that. I've had a hectic day. But if you guys have any other players you think are very underrated, put them in the chat. I'm going to start with my first one, and it is the one Dominic is nailing here. You and I, like Legos, Dominic, we are sticking together. Vinnie in 82. I'm sorry, what? Vinnie was one of the best receivers in the Big Ten last year. If you look at an efficiency standpoint, a catch percentage. I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Catch rate. If you look at yards per catch against man coverage, he was awesome in an offense that was quite frankly a junkyard. Vinnie Anthony was like that piece of like treasure in the junkyard. We're like, that thing's incredible. It's better than what's around it, and it's shining. He was awesome last year. And 82, Vinnie has great hands. He showed the ability to. I think there's questions about his ability to get off press coverage against really athletic defensive backs. We saw that against Penn State. So he's not like a 94, 95 guy. He's not that. But an 82? What are we doing here with our guy Vinnie? Vinnie, I think realistically is more like an 87, 88, maybe borderline 90. I think the speed ranking should be much higher. His catch ability, his route running. That 82 is a travesty. That's a travesty, EA Sports. I logged in, and I got to tell you, and I know there's going to be people who don't play video games or haven't played and don't care about this conversation, and that's fine. But I loved it. I love playing college football. I used to do it as a kid. I'm always excited for this. I'm always excited when I see the new rosters come out. And one of the biggest things I was excited about to play with this year's version of Wisconsin was the speed at receiver, right? I was like, man, it's going to be so much fun, right? I'm going to have Vinnie and Ballard and Tretch and Crowdis and they nerfed them all. So Vinnie at 82 is sad. That is ridiculous. Let's go to Dylan Jones. They got him at a 79. Listen, I can understand this one because there's not film there, but I do think I'm kind of looking at this through the lens of at the end of the year, who are we going to look back on and say, you guys really underranked this guy? I think Dylan at the end of the year is probably like an 85 type guy. And specifically when you look down into his subcategories to kind of see what makes up his ranking, they have Dylan Jones at 79 overall. The 66 strength feels way too low to me. 68 catch. Both Dylan and Dupree are really good athletes to catch the ball, while 68 catch is something that's going to get revised. As someone else pointed out in here, coming up here, someone mentioned Christian Allegro. That was Nathan. Yeah, Allegro is my third one on here, 79 overall. That's another one where I think at the end of the year, he's going to be like an upper 80s, low 90s guy if you had to re-rank him. I think the physical tools with him are really, really borderline great. I don't know if they're quite elite, but they're way better than a 79 overall guy. Strength, they have him at a 74. I think he's, for a linebacker, much stronger than that. Zone coverage of 63. They're going to end up revising that too. He's a guy that can kind of play sideline to sideline and used to play kind of a hybrid safety role in high school. I think Allegro is going to be either they step back from that ranking and be like, yeah, we missed on that one. And there's enough film there. I think that they should be a little higher on Allegro. Also a speed of 83. He's faster than that. He's a faster guy than that. Charles Perkins, 73 overall for our guy, Big Perk. Yeah. I'll say this. Either we've all fallen victim to a massive Wisconsin psyop where everybody is feeding misinformation on just how good Perkins is going to be this year, or EA Sports is off on this one. And having been to a couple practices myself, Big perk is definitely better than a 73 overall. You look at his rankings, a strength of 84. He's just a power guy. Bull rush, I think those things are going to go up. That's another player I think is going to outplay this ranking. Billy Edwards at an 81. I think by the end of the year, he's going to be more like an 84, 85. One thing I talk about with basketball a lot is context matters so much when evaluating players. You can't just look at a player and say, this was his touchdown interception ratio and let's write him off or celebrate him. The context matters so much. And Billy Edwards was just in a really poor spot last year for a quarterback. He had turnstiles on the offensive line, just complete turnstiles, not even the kind that lock after somebody pays, the kind that just spin. Like there's no lock. Defensive linemen are just spinning through those suckers, and he was getting hit all the time. It's really hard to take a look at him and say, this is who he is until you see him in a better context. And we think that that's going to be a better context this year. To be fair, we don't know that because we haven't seen Grimes and Madison. There's some new pieces on the O-line. There's new pieces at receiver. There's new pieces at tight end, running back, quarterback. There's a lot of melding that still needs to happen. But I think it's going to be better than Maryland, and I think we're going to see a better version of Billy Edwards Jr. than the 81 they have him ranked. A couple more here, man. Grant Steck as a 69. Oh, they did my guy so dirty. Like an under 70 ranking for our guy Grant Steck. Yeah, former 4-star guy, one of the top tight ends in the country, big physical. They have him as a strength of 65. That just feels like the ranking on Steck. These I would love to go under the hood with somebody at EA and see how they do these because some of them are the detail into the rankings is I think kind of crazy good. And I'm going to get into it in a second with like Carter Smith. And some of them, it just feels like they were at the end of their shift and they said, phone it in. This is a phone it in ranking. Grant Steck is a mid-70s guy all day right now with size, strength, pedigree, physicality. I think at the end of the year, this is one that they're going to want to have back. Let's get some comments in here too. Yeah, P, the year of the Kekahuna is upon us. That's another one. Tretch is pretty low in this game too. I think he was like a 72. Man, maybe I'm wrong on that one. I 76. Dominic says 76. If he's good, like if Tretch starts to fulfill the promise that we have hoped that he would after his commitment, then again, talking about context, the guy that's been in some offenses that have been up and down, has played with, Coach Longo that is let go. If he is good this year, you're looking at a receiving core that could legitimately be top third in the Big Ten, just on talent. Maybe am I projecting too much here? I don't know. I think Vinnie Anthony's really good. I think Ballard could break out. I like Chris Brooks still. I mean, it's at least a top half of the Big Ten receiver group, which for Wisconsin's really good. They need Tretch in the slot though. They need him to play well this year. And there were issues last year that were related to the offense, to the quarterback play. There were also issues related to Tretch. Tretch had a couple drops. I think there was some route running stuff that he struggled with a little bit. Now, I do think there's a component of, again, going back to context, there's a component of Coach Longo putting him into some spots where we weren't just allowing our athletes to play. We were forcing them to make some reads and get to some spots that maybe made it a little harder on our athletes. So we're going to see how that looks this year. Rog says, don't look now. This season is giving me 2016 vibes. P says, Fickle finally gets his big signature win with Brent's the S. If you get a couple, I can't wait for this year to get here because I do think we're going to come out of this year feeling better about this team in general. And like Will Hannah said, maybe that still means it's a 6-6 team, but I think it's I don't know if I'd feel great about a 6-6 team, even if they showed more toughness and fight. I think I need 7 wins at least this year to feel good. That might be a different show. Family Man says the national media is a love-hate relationship. I truly believe they miss old reliable Wisconsin, and this year will remind them who the Badgers are of the old. P says Acker and Yak are badly underrated. Yeah, Yak was like an 82. Again, man, I think they're sleeping on the skill positions in general. I talked about the receivers. I think in general, the skill positions. All right, let's take a quick second here. I want to talk about a couple very specific rankings that I think they kind of nailed, including a toughness ranking for a certain incoming freshman that I think is completely dead on. That's coming up next. Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show. And as always, a quick second to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this community. Whether you're watching live right now, like basically in the middle of the night, all you crazy people, thank you for being here with me on this one. But if you're going to watch tomorrow, on the road or doing work or whatever you are, listen on audio. It's all good and you are all super appreciated. Let me hit a couple of these that I think they nailed. So Carter Smith, 93 toughness. This is again where I they can be so off on some in my opinion, right? I think the speed stuff on the receivers is way off. But you can tell they're talking to somebody. You can tell they're putting in real work in some ways because Carter Smith is tough. There's no reason they should know how tough Carter Smith is. We know kind of as Badger fans because we talked to his dad, we've talked to the coaches, we talked to him a little bit. We know that he played entire games not being able to throw the ball because of a shoulder injury. And he just said, let me carry the ball and I'll be a lead blocker, right? He's a former baseball kid. His dad is old school. That dude is so tough. It's one of the biggest reasons I love Carter Smith and why I think he's probably the quarterback of the future is he is that I'm going to do whatever it takes to win that Byron Leftwich carry me down the field with like a broken leg type of pedigree. And EA Sports nailed it. Toughness of 93. It's like the third highest toughness ranking on the team. Now, should he be that high? Probably not because he's a freshman, but I think they low key nailed that one. And I kind of love it. I kind of dig it. Deco Crowdis leads the team in deep route running with an 89. Even I mean, that should be higher. But again, they understand the value he brings there. Finesse pass rush. Nicholas Clayton, number 2 on the team. Again, this was where you can tell they have done some homework. They've done some due diligence. Nicholas Clayton having the second highest finesse pass rushing rating on the team. It's probably true, right? You look at this team and you have guys like Gerald Peterson and Gardner and a lot of kind of power guys, uh, Perkins, and you go down the list, really. Clayton's going to beat you with speed and finesse. And I think he can translate his speed into power. We saw some of that in film, but I don't know if it's going to be much this year. I think they kind of nailed it with Nicholas Clayton being one of the best edge rushers on this team already in the rankings. And then I think they absolutely crushed the secondary rankings. I talked about it. They got Rico at a 90. They have him at 92 in play recognition. I think they nailed it with him. I think they nailed it with Zachman. They have him at an 88. That feels like a great ranking for a perennially underrated player and kid. I think they nailed it with Zachman. They got Austin Brown at an 86. They got Nizier at an 87. I think they crushed it on their DB rankings. The younger guys I didn't dive into too much, but for the most part, I think they did a really good job there. Um, I did kind of chuckle because I don't know how they have Hardy Watts as like a 95 toughness. I, I mean, I guess he's got some like I don't know. I don't know where they found that, but I've also everything I've heard about Hardy Watts is he's kind of like Massachusetts mean. So again, I think they probably kind of nailed it. But he leads the team in toughness with a 95 ranking. Sure, like, I guess. And I also love that they put Big Mike Roski up there. They got Big Mike Roski up at like 94 toughness, which again one of the top marks on the team. And just talking to him, he is like everything that you want an offensive lineman to be. So again, I don't know if everyone's gonna love the show, but like I like diving into these rankings. I really enjoy it, and it's fun to kind of get another set of data to look at this roster through. Okay, let's get some more comments in here. Let's see. Is Yak Christian McCaffrey light? Woo! Woo! That would be amazing. Listen, I Yak deserves an opportunity this year. He averaged 8.3 yards per carry, and more importantly, he went back into the lab this offseason and attacked it again. So there's so many people, so many athletes, student athletes, and I don't begrudge any of them who would have done what he did last year and said, to hell with Madison, I'm going somewhere else to get more of an opportunity. I averaged 8.3 yards per carry, and they couldn't get me on the field. This is a different type of cat in today's environment. And he went back into the lab and said, I'm going to get even better, and I'm going to stay in Madison, and you're going to play me. And I love it. I love every bit of the Yak story. I think he's going to get more of a chance this year because otherwise, why would he still be here? And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with more carries, more touches, more opportunities, and he deserves all of that. Let's see. Yeah, Dominique Clayton got star dev. I didn't even get into those. I think Mason, yeah, a couple of people talking about the tight end room. I think Mason is the highest ranked tight end in that room, which doesn't feel correct either. I still think Mason's going to help. I think Mason's going to help as a pass receiver, but I don't think he's going to be quite there. P says Ballard could be great. Dude, he is total star potential. Like, again, it's every physical tool you want. but now can you do it, right? The world is full of zoom out of sports and think to your circle of friends and family. The world is full of people with a ton of potential that it never clicked. That they took their whatever their skills, their upside, their ceiling, they took it to the graveyard with them because they never developed it, right? And Ballard is in a spot this year where he's going to be put into that role, and he has every physical skill set that you could want for that boundary receiver spot. Let's see if it clicks. Let's see if it comes together for him. And I can tell you right now, people in the room in the program are excited to see it. They think he's ready to prove why he was a 4-star receiver. They think he's really ready to push that envelope. And if he does, you're going to have something in Madison that you haven't had much of. You're going to have a big time athlete at the boundary spot that can really put the fear of a vertical route into a defensive coordinator's head. And Wisconsin hasn't had a lot of that. So it's a big deal. He's a big deal in this season. Okay, let's keep going here. Yeah, Dominique says I thought it'd be interesting to look at players that transferred out. I should do that. And I think we'll wrap it there. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in. A fun show for me. I hope you guys liked it. Bunch more content coming up this week. We got a couple of guests coming up. As always, I appreciate the heck out of you guys and gals on Wisconsin, and we will definitely talk later.